This is WVLT News at 11.
My age and lower, dying! My age! And I can't do anything about it! I'm scared! My age and lower! Dying in pain!
Raw emotion pouring from a young man following yesterday's shooting at Austin East High School. A student is dead. A police officer in the hospital tonight. Officer Wilson being injured. He's injured there and getting dragged out of the bathroom. And right in front of him, Anthony Thompson Jr. on the ground.
They are here protesting the decision by the District Attorney General Sharm Allen to not charge any of the officers in the death of Anthony Thompson Jr.
It's a sad day for Knoxville, and it's tough for Austin East.
An officer shot, a student dead.
It was just very chilling. First of all, to hear we have an officer down, and secondly, that it was at a school.
It's another blow for Austin East High School, where 4 students have already died in gun violence this year.
You know, my prayer is that the community will come together. You know, don't let this be divisive.
Heavy police presence there at Austin East High School. Guam, we have learned that a Knoxville police officer is among the shooting victims in what KPD calls a situation that has left multiple people shot.
I'm going to step aside so you can see what all we've been looking at since we arrived about 15 minutes ago here. We're a few blocks away from the actual school. We did see a few students walking out, heard a woman, crying and just fed up.
This gives us a better idea of the magnitude of this situation as we see what sort of perimeter police and emergency crews have set up here.
We're right in front of Austin East right now, where you see community members, leaders right now talking. They're going to be out here for a while.
I'm a little shaken up right now. What brought me out here is I have a younger brother and sister who go to Austin East.
The officer who was hurt, and he's conscious and he's in good spirits.
This is good news. Folks wondering about the condition of the Knoxville police officer shot at Austin East High School. Mayor India Kincannon giving us a reason to breathe a sigh of relief at this hour. Knoxville police just sharing a release with us. This is information that we hate to have to share with you. This is a major development in this story. Knoxville police say that they responded to Austin East High School after receiving reports of a male subject armed in the school. As officers approached the subject, shots were fired. One male pronounced dead at the scene. Another detained for further investigation. The headline is, this school has been plagued by violence. The neighborhood has been dealing with the shooting deaths of 4 of its students.
We've been telling you about these shootings that have started back in January. Let's start on January 27th. Justin Taylor was 15 when he was shot and left in a parking lot. The second, Stanley Freeman Jr., was just 16 years old. He was shot while leaving Austin East High School. The third, 15-year-old Janaria Muhammad, shot outside her home. And Jamarian Gillette, a 15-year-old, was shot and killed just last month.
A bullet was just inches away from causing a much more serious injury for that officer, according to his son. KPD officer Adam Wilson is a 20-year veteran of the force. He is recovering tonight at UT Medical Center following surgery last night. The TBI now says 17-year-old Anthony Thompson was killed after a struggle with police. And officials say it's not clear how the gun made its way into the school and that metal detectors are now an option on the table to improve school security. TBI investigators now releasing new information that conflicts with what they said Monday night. Initially, they said a bullet from Thompson's gun hit Officer Wilson. Now they've determined that was not the case. The mayor says that body camera footage could help clear up that confusion, but the DA says it won't be released while the investigation is active.
Every day the video is not released perpetuates rumors and misinformation.
A few protesters that have gathered, they're wanting the body camera footage.
People here say they just want to know what happened, and to accurately learn what happened and unfolded in that school bathroom. They say they need, desperately so, those Knoxville police body camera footage.
That was District Attorney Sharm Allen there explaining why she will not be releasing the body cam footage associated with this shooting at Austin East High School, citing that it is an active investigation.
The family of Anthony Thompson Jr. spent the day planning his funeral, and as Will Puckett shows us, the man helping them plan it has now handled services for 3 Austin East students this year alone.
I grew up with the family, know them well, and My heart goes out to them.
A friend of Anthony Thompson Jr.'s family, Buckman, is tasked with holding the teen's funeral.
I made arrangements with the family this morning.
This service won't be his first of an Austin East student. Just this year, he's handled the services for Justin Taylor, who was killed in January, and Janaria Muhammad, the 15-year-old killed on her front porch in February.
This is not an easy job. It's not an easy job because, you know, what words can you say to a family?
The loss of a teen is already difficult, but this funeral is surrounded by a cloud of questions.
They want the truth. They want the facts. Let them fall where they fall.
Will, he met with the family. How are they doing tonight? Do we know?
Well, Amanda, they met about midday, and as the family still awaits the answers as to what exactly happened in that bathroom, right now they're feeling mistrust in the system.
If you're joining us right now, District Attorney Sharm Allen has just started releasing some of the body camera footage from the day of the officer-involved shooting that left a student dead at Austin East High School. Right now, we are looking at body cam footage from Officer Clabo. This is him responding to the home of the student's girlfriend, who her mother had called 911 that day to report trouble between the two. And so this is the initial response from KPD, trying to get a handle on information. During this exchange, we're also hearing the officer tell the girlfriend that they intend to arrest Thompson Jr. They're gathered at the back of the school, these three officers making entry that way in search of Anthony Thompson Jr., who at this point, DA Allen says knows from two separate sources that police are now looking for him. So here we are watching them make their way through the school as they search for the student. Remember, they are there to arrest him on complaints of domestic violence. We do have a piece of video that we have edited that shows part of the struggle that happened in the bathroom that we feel is okay to show you. So we see them here in the bathroom. This is a struggle. Officers say we believe that was Anthony Thompson Jr.'s hand going into his pocket, potentially reaching for a weapon. This is the other student that was in the bathroom. He was forced to the ground and then later detained. In the background, we see Officer Wilson being injured. He's injured there and getting dragged out of the bathroom. And right in front of him, Anthony Thompson Jr. on the ground, an officer unaware of his immediate condition, but working to quickly restrain him. This is after the shooting. So. And the vantage point we're seeing now is the other student who was in the restroom, who was not hurt. About 90 more seconds of this video. But essentially, Officer Clabo, the only one to fire shots, according to the DA. I can't even imagine how incredibly difficult this moment had to have been, not just for that student or those officers, but everybody involved. This is big. Anthony Thompson Jr., according to the DA, had a gun, pulled it out, had his finger on the trigger, fired the weapon, hitting a garbage can, and then a matter of seconds went by before Officer Clabo removed his weapon and held it up, and then another series of seconds passed before Officer Clabo acted and fired his gun, fatally shooting Anthony Thompson Jr., the 17-year-old student. No charges for any of the officers who were involved in this deadly shooting involving the Austin East High School student.
Yeah, big developments today, and we've tried, folks, to be very careful about what we show you. We're trying to be very sensitive since there was a death. A student was killed in the shooting in the bathroom, so we've really probably walked on eggshells just to be careful that we didn't show something that would be really disturbing for people. The
demands to see this video are because people want transparency. We are going to share that video in full, in its entirety. We're working to get it in a place where you can see it in its full entirety.
We edited out the actual shots being fired to be responsible, to be sensitive. There are going to be many opportunities for the people who do need to see the actual full video to do that. We just didn't want to surprise people sitting at home with the kids live on TV to show a 17-year-old killed. The officers involved, not charged. It was deemed self-defense. Our Sam Luther was there.
Well, Ted, Amanda, the general reaction as that video was played, I know you guys have played a portion of it, and rightfully so, not all of it quite yet, but
dead silence. I mean, you could really feel just the tension as that video was played.
We're looking at a group of people, some on foot, others in cars, many of them holding signs that say justice for Anthony Thompson Jr. He, of course, is the 17-year-old who was shot and killed by police at Austin East High School last week. Now, this group of people originally gathered at KPD headquarters a couple hours ago and then have made their way now onto University of Tennessee's campus. Sam Luther, if you can hear us, you're live on the air at this hour. This is a look at some of those protesters who are in their cars.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sam.
Amanda, I can hear you barely. I don't know if you can hear me. You hear the overwhelming amount of honking going on right now. Like you said, they're here off of University Boulevard. They're headed to University Commons. They've started this protest at Knoxville Police Department. At one point, they were on Market Square. They ended up on Gay Street, where they understand they congregated on foot. I've got probably the better part of 200 people, Amanda, whether they're in cars or here on foot. Just take a look at this, though. Take a look at the scene. If Elizabeth can walk into here, you can just look at sort of the scene here on the University of Tennessee campus. It's a very loud scene. It's a very passionate scene. They are here protesting the decision by the District Attorney General Sharm Allen to not charge any of the officers in the death of Anthony Thompson Jr.
Will Puckett alongside Zach Rickens in downtown Knoxville. We actually just turned onto Cumberland Avenue right now, where an almost roughly mile-long line of cars and people in front of these cars protesting the shooting death of Anthony Thompson Jr. Fireworks, some firecrackers let off in the street right there. Might have been the popping noise that you could have possibly heard as we walk along Cumberland Avenue.
I don't know if you heard that. You hear people shouting from their cars, "Pray for Austin East, rest in peace," standing for Anthony Thompson Jr. Again, the reason these folks are out here tonight is indisputable. They're here for one reason, and that's protesting the decision by the district attorney to not charge any of the officers.
Now, following department policy, all 4 of the officers who were involved that day are all still on administrative leave. That's policy, that's standard. They're on your screen right now. Officer Adam Wilson, the one on your right, he's the officer who was shot. We spoke with police this morning. They tell us that he has been discharged from the hospital and that he's now recovering at home.
I spoke with a student who's in her own right a leader of her class, Kanaya Hetcherson, and she just says that now is the time to get back to the old Austin East, get back to being happy and together, and it's not going to stop here.
That we lead by example and always, be who we are for our classmates and stay strong.
And then another thing that we're doing in the school, y'all know we have the memorial inside of the school. We're getting a plaque that's to memorize everybody that we have lost.
Of course, they don't have that much left in this semester, but they say that they want to go out on a good note, Ted.
Drums up, guns down. You can hear those drums out there. Gwen, thanks a lot.